Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Choices Finding Your Joy. Paula Vail here, and I have with us again, joining us, just a gentleman that I love chatting with and learning more from. We have with us David Lowe, is MS, PhD, former professor and counselor who today does dream work. And today we're going to be talking about dream symbolism. This is going to be really fun. I'm excited to hear all of this. First off, welcome, David.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me back. It's always a pleasure. As welcome to you as well for being a wonderful host. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to share any bit of background or anything before we jump into this fun topic?
Sure. 40 years of recording dreams, 30 years following a guru, 2 advanced degrees, 3 months of pilgrimage in India and South America, blah, 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 blah. Lots of powerful experiences, and none of it may mean much, but in my case, it might.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, married 25 years, happily married 25 years, another issue.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk about, what we see in our dreams. And so what would you say are symbols or themes, those type of thing?
Well, symbols are things that stand in for something else. So a ram frequently refers to male sexuality or something aggressive, which pushes, The ocean, the water, often refers to profound emotions that you can drown in or become blissful in. The sky can be God or, wisdom, spiritual wisdom. Symbols can be anything, but they stand in for something else because dream language can't come to us literally because we all have different languages. The dream language speaks in a universal way. It takes basically fundamental perceptions that we all have and organizes them into symbols. And that way it can communicate to anyone in any culture at any time. So yeah, that's symbols. Archetypes are real important to understand. Basic patterns from higher reality upon which similar things are based, like masculinity, for example. There is an archetype of halfway between the earth and God. There's kind of an element of half-form, profound reality. That's where the archetypes are, you can think. Reality isn't all the way crystallized yet, okay? But there are patterns upon which basic things are molded. So all the examples of masculinity on the earth can come out of one basic foundational masculinity. You can think of an archetype like that. That's not quite what it is, but it's close enough by way of spiritual description, kind of.
Yeah. So I would think that can be confusing. So if different symbols mean different things, how do we realize what they mean?
We realize what they mean by feeling with our bodies what they seem to be saying. I mean, in some cases you can indeed, a lot of the times you can get a rough idea by thinking sideways at it or thinking poetically about it. Thinking about language and pun association with it, you can get a sense of what the symbol means. You can really only fathom it more deeply by feeling it in your body, because a dream wants to express our emotional issues. It wants to show us ways that we can get around and work through patterns of thinking which confine us. Mm-hmm. So maybe the best way to think about it is, we all have like a basic perception. We all have different languages, or we all have different cultures, right? But beneath all language, beneath all culture, there's basic humanity, as it were. Before literacy, so that we all have the same basic perceptions of reality. Before our minds do anything with that reality in terms of our original language, culture, and so forth. So that basic perception is what is the material that the dream source works with. The dream source clothes our issues with those basic perceptions, arranged in a way that's appropriate for us to relate to. that's kind of what symbols are. That's how symbols are formulated, if you will.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. It's fascinating. What is the universal language that
Well,
you know?
what I just
Go
described is
more into that.
it's difficult to, the same like a fish. A fish means something different to someone in Alaska who fishes for them versus somebody living in Kansas who's hardly ever heard of them, hardly ever sees them.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a fish means different things to different people. We all know what a fish is intellectually, but we have different emotional associations with it. Okay, so a fish is a symbol often referring to instinctual drives and something very deep, instinctual, primordial, primitive in the brain, if you will. Okay, but the precise way that a fish is used to refer to something is going to vary from person to person. It also has a spiritual association. The symbol or password that early Christians used back when they were being persecuted by the Romans in the first century involved the Greek word and symbol for a fish. And so you sometimes see fishes on the back of people's cars, which indicate their affiliation with the church. Mm-hmm. So the fish has lots of associations for lots of people. But yet think in terms of those basic perceptions. Pre-language, pre-culture, you're just born, you're learning stuff from the sensation comes in, all five senses. That is the alphabet, if you will, that dreams work with.
Yeah.
And we all have that same alphabet of perceptions.
Yeah.
And it organizes them perceptually into symbols for us to relate to them through.
So let's say I have a dream, maybe one is
literacy. No literacy is required at all.
Yeah.
No literacy whatsoever. That's why letters, language has nothing to do with symbols. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that if I have a dream where maybe I see an owl or I have a dream where I fall off a cliff, then what I really need to look at is how that made me feel, what my intuition is.
Yeah. Feeling is the most important element of a person's experience in dreams, certainly. But what you would need to look at is what are your poetic or sideways or artistic associations with those things and those events, and what are you feeling, and what events have recently been happening in your life which are a little bit out of the ordinary. Okay, so recent events in your life which are a little bit out of the ordinary, the particular way that you relate poetically or artistically to the particular thing that you saw in a dream. And so that's how you would tune into and fathom what the dream is trying to say in super basic terms. And I mean, a lot of symbols have pretty direct associations, but a lot of them don't. And not all dreams reflect what things that we are doing over the last few days of our life. Sometimes dreams can reflect or talk about something of a more profound, perennial part of your life. Something that it's been trying to get across for you for months and months and years. But for the most part, dreams concern themselves with things that we've been thinking about and doing over the last few days in one way or another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so fascinating. And what does it mean, the difference? You may have one person that they're just waking up remembering their dreams every morning, and then someone who very seldom remembers their dreams. What is that difference?
Well, nobody really knows completely why we don't all remember our dreams every night, because we do know that everybody dreams every night. So, but we don't know why we don't all remember at least some, because we don't. So I can't completely answer that question. What I can say is that anyone who wants to remember their dreams can increase the likelihood of doing so by taking a greater interest in their spirituality and doing some specific things which encourage dream remembrance, namely saying to yourself at nighttime, I will remember my dreams, right? Or getting a journal, starting a dream journal, putting it next to your bed at night with a pen, That way, if you do things with, you actually do things with your body. Go buy a book about dreams and read it. You know, you're doing things. God, you're putting God on notice. Hey, I'm interested. You know, and get out of your comfort zone. Do things that get some thoughts and feelings moving around. Some maybe less than comfortable thoughts and feelings moving around in your body-mind complex. Because we all have to embrace everything ultimately, and spiritual growth is going to involve getting out of our comfort zone. So even if it's only just a little bit, do something by way of getting out of your comfort zone, by way of your greater spiritual initiative, and you will start getting stuff in dreams. But yeah, take an interest in them. Take an interest.
I love it. I love it. And what would you say are some of the most profound basic symbols that we can see?
The example I like to use to that is the notion of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. Those basic elements, right? Those basic elements occur in the mythologies and literatures of almost all major ancient cultures, which tells you something. Earth, air, fire, water, and ether have no empirical reality. They do have a deeper spiritual reality. Okay, and so there are symbols representing each of those things, and each of those things can be resembled in more or less an approximate way by a lot of similar symbols. But air, of course, the sky, the air, the wind. Earth, of course, the ground, rocks, solidity. Fire, heat, the flames and everything. Water, the trickling water, the ocean water, the ocean that you fall into. Water, ether, the spaces, the sky. So, those 5 elements, basic elements, have symbolic representation, and they're a very profound aspect of all our experiences, although usually way beneath the radar in the background.
Wow.
Yeah, so water, sky, lots of basic symbols relating to our physical reality.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh.
Sure. I mean, animal symbols, animals, almost always something instinctual, some part of our being, and animals have different associations. So, in the Native American tradition, there are all these more or less appropriate associations with different animals, like the squirrel. Yeah. Very industrious. They're always working hard. They're putting away the nuts. They're getting ready for winter and so forth. The bear, avuncular, strong. This all-embracing, warm, motherly thing, right? The crocodile, which is so frightening, so huge and dangerous that there are crocodile deities in the pantheons of more than 2 or 3 different indigenous tribal traditions, because they're so powerful. Snakes, perhaps the most profound and multifaceted animal symbol. It can relate to sexuality. It can relate to being devious and cunning. It can relate to being wise and smart. It can relate to being hidden and subtle. It can relate to it often relates to spiritual initiation, because when you get bitten by a snake, right? Your body starts to transform. If you get bitten by a poisonous snake, your body starts to transform, although not in a good way. But your body starts to transform, and so that quite often that being bitten by a snake often represents spiritual initiation. Very often. Yeah, and of course the Kundalini going up the spine and all that sort of thing. It's very, very profound symbol. The snake, the serpent.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would you say we need to realize that our dreams are trying to tell us something?
Well, yeah, you see, this is the amazing thing to consider. We all have psychic faculties, right? And some of us have special gifts like clairvoyance or, psychic, whatever, this or that particular type of thing, seeing energy in people, being a healer. But everybody has basic psychic faculties, which are always scanning higher reality. Because we're all destined for enlightenment sooner or later, which means that we all have these faculties, which are always looking ahead to see potentially easier way of doing things and of accomplishing things. better attitudes to take towards things. And these are options, right? So these psychics actually sense this stuff in the future and present, and they report back to us in dreams. Okay. I mean, way beneath the radar in the higher dimensions, our minds are thinking and stretching. Our subconscious goes out forever. It's what's amazing to think about, but our thinking, our minds, our thought processes occur in higher dimensions. It's not a three-dimensional thing. You can think of our minds kind of pervade everywhere and in deeper levels of reality. So that our minds are always sensing and feeling out into the ether of time, space, any potential interferences, problems, issues with other people that we have karmic involvements with, and they report back to us in dreams. Yeah. And if we ignore our dreams, our life will probably be okay. Like most people's lives are most of the time in the natural course of events. But the option always exists for us to look at our dreams because they're always trying to give us information of how to go about things more easily, better, practical advice on things, about better attitudes, things to do to avoid this, to avoid a problem which you'll otherwise have 6 months down the line. So that information is on offer all the time. So we just have to look at it, So, I mean, dreams, they really are the most common and universal avenue we all have to relate to higher reality. And I mean, it matters to some of us more than others. Someone like yourself or maybe me, we do our spiritual work a lot. We've been through a great deal. We look at our dreams for decades and decades. So our dream life is maybe more playful and not as serious, as it were, as a lot of folks' dream life. But a lot of people out there who are struggling with life, going through issues, it could be so much easier. You just look at your dream and try to fathom what they're saying. Yeah, so that information is on offer all the time. And more and more people are tuning into it. But there's a great deal of awareness building needs to occur around dreams, I think.
Yeah. Tell us the work you do with your clients.
What I do, I need to get to know the person first. Basic demographic information, who's alive, who's dead, age, what they're doing, family configuration, any issues with the family, people not talking to each other, that sort of thing, basic health issues, and personal hang-ups and issues, what your mind's dwelling on. That's dreams are often painfully personal in what they communicate to people. But the more that I can know about the dream in that regard, the better. Because what your mind's dwelling on, what you've been going through recently, is going to have a lot to do with why the dream's happening. So I gather information before I know a thing about the dream. Even the simplest dream, the most simple basic dream, can reveal a lot in conjunction with that specific knowledge about the person. Then the client tells me the dream. Ideally, he writes it ahead of time so I can look at it for a bit, but he can tell me the dream. And we go over how he feels. What does it feel like when you tell it? Do you understand better now what it might be telling you now that you're retelling it to a dream worker? Yeah. What I do is I get the client to discover the meaning for himself. Only the dreamer can really know what a dream means. Dreamers are often way off at first because they often tend to take things literally instead of symbolically. Mm-hmm. But once they tune into a more symbolic, deeper understanding of what their dream is, then only they can really know precisely what it's saying. So I help them discover the deeper dimension, and they take it from there. So we go over, the dream, how they're feeling, what they think it means, and then we start working with, we might start talking to dream characters to see what each object or character in the dream is trying to tell the client. There are deeper, dreams often dress up the same problem over and over again in different ways. We have a certain pattern of thinking. which keeps us trapped in a certain routine, a certain way of thinking about ourselves. We keep ourselves locked into certain limits and so forth. Dreams want to point that out to us. They illustrate that again in different ways. And the greatest art of good dream work is to look beneath the dream and see the subtext. See what I call the action template, what's really going on in the dream. And when we get to that, that's when it gets powerful for the client. And we do that when we start to work with the symbols and the imagery. What's more difficult to do over the phone is actual feeling work. You can actually enact a dream on stage or in your room, or in good therapy, you can get up and act it out, which brings it to life more readily than you would just sitting there talking about. But we can start to do that over the phone and Skype and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's getting information, looking at the dream, and then leading the client to his or her own understanding.
Yes.
Own more sophisticated understanding of what it means.
And do me a favor, please share your website with everyone, David.
Yeah, it's David Low, MS, PhD, David Low, no E on the name, David Low, LOW, Masters of Science, MSPhD.com, David Low, MSPhD.com.
I love it.
Yeah, that's easy to remember. David at worldspirituality.com is the email.
Excellent, excellent. So these dreams are messages. Okay, David, who's sending those messages? Is it a variance of sources?
It would be, the big heavyweight God, this great, complex, huge, unimaginably profound thing. We can't really refer to that. We have to refer to different kind of sub breakdowns in the great organization of supernatural forces out there affecting us without us realizing it.
I'm a lover of the angels. Are the angels?
I would say that you can think of the angels. That's a valid way of understanding the particular aspect of deity that looks over each of us. Sometimes those angels can be a little bit off and warped if the person has a very difficult karma to go through. But for the most part, we can think of our angels as arranging the symbols. The angels are the ones who design the dreams. You think of it that way.
Wow.
And, our angels are aware of all the things affecting us. Think of an individual's karma, your genetics. There are genetic memories, genetic karmic memories, connections with people from other lifetimes. Tons of connections with people from this lifetime, needless to say. Memories, sentiments, everyone in your background reminds you has a specific association. There are people that you offended in small ways 20 years ago. There are people that you bonded with in small ways 15 years ago. There's all sorts of things that you did which had unintended consequences, good or bad. All that is, that's your karma. It's like an infinitely complex series of tentacles going out everywhere, The angels know all that for each of us. And I guess they must try to portray for us alternatives of what we might do to go through life. So, again, most folks who just ignore their dreams, okay, just go through life and you'll die when you'll do whatever and you'll die. Mm-hmm. But if you tune into your dreams, you're going to be happier sooner, and you'll avoid obstacles that you otherwise would have had to go through. That's the best advertisement for them. It does take time and effort, but even if it's only 10 minutes a day, jot down 2 or 3 bullet points of major things that you saw. Think for 1 minute, just knock your head against the wall for 1 minute as to what it might be saying. And then write down some questions and frustrations in your diary. Keep a journal. If you can do that 3 times a week for 10 minutes, 3 times a week with your dreams and your intuitions and hunches, and you have that dialogue going that you didn't have going before. Yeah. And things, because of that effort, things will gradually start getting clearer. You'll gradually be able to tune into your dreams more than you did before. Yeah, so but talking to other people doing dream work with others is crucial.
Yeah, I love it. So I can journal, track my dreams, and I can contact you and you can help me
It's
understand.
great. It's great if you can contact me or someone like me. That's fabulous. But I emphasize with enough gumption and motivation, you can do this yourself. 15 minutes a day. Get out your symbol dictionaries. Symbol dictionaries are only so useful, but they are helpful up to a point. Get your symbol dictionaries. Look online. To do your own poetic. There are all sorts of ways that I can tell you how to do this. But just do your own journaling. Think about those 3 steps. Write down some basic bullet points of what you experience. Think about what they might be trying to tell you, and then just question them. God, give me another message. Give me a chance. Come on, I have no idea what you're talking about. And there needs to be that wondering. There needs to be that curiosity and seeking, and they will answer.
They will answer. Oh, this is so fascinating. With about 1 minute left in the show, what last message do you want to share? I mean, this has been so fascinating and powerful. Yeah,
I can help. Hey, it's fun to do. And if you are going through anybody, but a difficult time in your life, there's lots of turmoil, lots of changes. And especially if there are things which could happen which might be really dangerous or disadvantageous or hurtful to you, unless you do just the right thing, then give me a call and we can help you fathom what's going on. In all great likelihood, you will come away with a very powerful sense of what's happening, what you should and shouldn't do, more so than you did before. So that would be a lot of changes, turmoil in your life, turning points, wondering about things. These are what dreams are for. They're out there to help us get closer to God quicker.
I love it. Oh, David, thank you so much. I just so enjoy chatting with you.
David at worldspirituality.com. Paula, you are the greatest host out there, especially with that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Love, hugs, and blessings, David.
Okay, you too, Paula.
And everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.